Thank you for tuning into Bethel BHG-TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Now our host, Pastor Johnson.
All right, brothers and sisters, it's that time. We right here. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to you. Happy Sabbath to all of you all. Happy Sabbath. Yep. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all of thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy son, thy daughter, thy manservant, thy maidservant, thy cattle, thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all of them is, and rested the seventh day. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm glad that you're here. Glad that you tuned in. Another Friday night Bible study. Tonight's lesson is the sun became black, the moon became as blood, the stars fell to the earth. We read this throughout the scriptures, but what does it signify? And it's the second coming of Jesus. It's throughout the prophets, as the apostles talk about it, the book of Revelations talk about it. And we're just going to look at that tonight and kind of dissect it because it gives us a timeline to understand things in the way that they are. There are people that are teaching that Jesus can come at any given day now. I would tell you that the signs and the prophetic themes that have been written must be unfolded first. And those things have not been unfolded yet. However, we do know that upon his return, the sun shall be darkened, the moon become as blood, and the stars will fall to the earth. That much we do know. And we're going to get into a little bit of this tonight. But before we do so, you know how we always like to do it. We like to go into our scripture reading from Psalms 111, verse 10. And this is simply what it says, brothers and sisters. It says, Psalms 111, verse 10, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. I want to thank all of you all for tuning in tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you hit thumbs up, like, share, all of that good stuff. Let's build up the algorithm and let's get people in here tonight and let's get this lesson going, okay? And we just, I just want to, let me just give you the foundation of why we want to do this lesson, because a lot of times, brothers and sisters, people, I'm sorry about that. People, let me close that out. I didn't mean to put that up there. Sometimes we get put things up here and we don't mean to put them up there. There it goes. So a lot of people are trying to figure out, where are we in biblical timing? What part are we in? Because people are seeing a lot of things go on right now. They're seeing the fires take place. They're looking at all of this stuff and these calamities and all of these things that are happening across the world. And brothers and sisters, the end is not yet. Okay, the end is not yet. So the Bible tells us. We're not going to get into that. That's another lesson at a different time. But it always told us we're going to have pestilence, we're going to have diseases, wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, all of these things that are happening now, we see, as he said, but the end is not yet, okay? So we want to let you know, because some people see these forest fires and they're trying to calculate what seal are we in. As you know, in the book of Revelations, the 5th chapter, it talks about that there was a book that no man could open but Christ himself. And that book had 7 seals on it. And then as the elders wept because there was nobody worthy to open the book or to loose the seals thereof, John was told, behold, there is one as a lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So we know that that's Christ. And when Jesus looses the first seal, the very first seal, because no seals have been opened up right now, brothers and sisters. No seals have been opened up. When that first seal opens up, it will be the abomination of the desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet, and there will be a time of trouble like you have never seen before. That has not happened yet. When that does happen, the events in Revelations, the 6th chapter, are going to unfold over a period of time, according to prophecy. 3.5 year tribulation. That's all it is, brothers and sisters. 3.5 years, not 7. 3.5 years. The Bible is very, very clear in doing that. But I want to go to Revelation because I just want to concentrate tonight on the phrase. Is what I want to deal with tonight, the phrase. So we're going to look at that phrase, and we're going to start off over here, and we're going to come back and end with it. And that's Revelations, the 6th chapter. Revelations, the 6th chapter. And we're going to look at verse number 12. And so you could see the things that are unfolding or that will unfold. In Revelations, the 6th chapter, verse 12, it says this. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal. Okay, again, we told you none of the seals have been opened up at this time. But John is given how these things are going to unfold. Okay, so John is seeing all this and how things are going to unfold in the future, and he sees it. And the Lord is showing it to him. So he says, and I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. When that earthquake happens, brothers and sisters, look at the next sequence of events. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair. The moon became as blood, and the stars fell. The stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely fig when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So it's just trying to tell you how those leaves are going to fall. And look at verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. So this is important, brothers and sisters, because when you look at how a scroll, John is given this account with items and the way things were. So there was a book that would open up like a scroll. And he says, and when you shall see the heaven depart as a scroll when it is rolled together. See, and we know what's going to happen after that. But I'm not going to get into all that. I just want to show you where it says the sun became black as sackcloth, the moon became as blood, the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So you can know when a tree is just shaken with a mighty wind and the leaves fall. So that's what the stars are going to do. And the skies are going to depart as a scroll when it is rolled together. Now, this is when Jesus is going to return. We can also go look at the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, because the sun becoming dark, and the moon becoming as blood, and the stars falling from heaven. Wherever we read that, brothers and sisters, it only happens when Christ returns. I just want to let you know that, all right? So let's go over here and look at when this will be according to the scriptures. So let's go look at this. In Matthew the 24th chapter, verse 29, check this out. Immediately. I want to stop with this one word here, because when we hear things, sometimes when we read things, we're not really hearing what it's saying. We're reading it, but do we really hear it? Immediately means immediately, brothers and sisters. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. We know that the tribulation is for 3.5 years. We'll teach that lesson. We've taught it before, but that's not our lesson tonight. But we're talking about immediately after the tribulation of those days. What days? The days that he's talking about, the days that we just read in the book of Revelation, when the sun is going to become black, the moon's going to become like blood, and the stars are going to fall from heaven. In Revelations, the 6th chapter, what we just read, you're reading the same thing right here. Listen to this. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. All right? So all of that, brothers and sisters, is going to be. Let's continue to read. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. That's Jesus. And then it goes on to say, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So, brothers and sisters, the Bible is telling us what happens before this takes place. And what's going to happen? Well, here we go. The sun, in those days shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Let's go back to Revelations, and let's just take a look at that real quick. In Revelations, the 6th chapter, and let's find out, when does this happen? And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal. Okay, so this doesn't take place until the 6th seal is open. So when you ask people, and people say, I think we're in the 6th seal right now. No, when you get to that 6th seal, this is what's going to take place. And that hasn't taken place because we haven't even gone through the 1st seal. But when the 6th seal is open, there's going to be a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair. This is the way John in the book of Revelation is describing it. But in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, Jesus is describing it. That's why it's written in red. He's talking. He's sharing what will take place. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair. The moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island will be moved out of their places. And what's going to happen? The kings of the earth, the great man, the rich man, the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man are going to hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. And what are they going to say? And they said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth upon the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Why is he saying that? Because the great day of his wrath is come. Let's go back to Matthew, the 24th chapter. Let's go back over there. So we can see what's going to take place. When is that? Now, Revelation 6 and 12 says when the sixth seal is open. That's the way it describes it, when the sixth seal is open. But we also learned that it's going to be immediately after the tribulation of those days. So what can we gather from that? Let's go back to Revelation. Let's look at this and analyze the text. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, this is when the sun, the moon, and the events that we read earlier being our subject, that is what takes place. But it is immediately after the tribulation. Let's do some deductive conclusions here, simply just by reading and putting the texts together. Let's go back to Revelations, 6th chapter, verse 12. Listen to what it says. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. That's when there was an earthquake and the sun became black as sackcloth and the moon became as blood and the stars fell from heaven. This is important because this does not take place again till the opening of the sixth seal, which means if Revelation says immediately after the tribulation, we know that the sixth seal won't be opened up until immediately after the sixth tribulation, after the tribulation. So that's when the sixth seal is going to be opened up, after the tribulation, immediately after the tribulation. So you can put these two texts together and simply come to the conclusion and read it, okay, immediately after the tribulation, when the sixth seal is open, then that's when the sun, the moon, and the stars go through their events and heaven rolls back as a scroll. Do you all see that? So this is what we can just, when people are trying to put things together, this is what you can look at and put the text together. And this is simply what we call here a little, there a little, line upon line, and precept upon precept, a here a little, there a little. So when we go back and forth between Revelation and what Jesus was speaking in Matthew, the 24th chapter, we know that the tribulation, let me go back over there to it. The tribulation is after that tribulation, that's when the sixth seal is open. That's when it's going to be open, brothers and sisters. And that's when Jesus is going to appear. But notice, then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Why are they mourning? And when you go back to Revelation, I'm going to highlight this part just for a second. Then shall the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. I want to highlight this part because this does not take place again until after the tribulation, when the sixth seal is open. Or you can say when the sixth seal is open and when the tribulation is over. Okay? So when you look at this, when that happens, that's when we're going to see the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Okay? Matthew, it describes it this way. I want to go back to the book of Revelation because Revelation says that the heaven is going to roll back as a scroll. Okay? See this? And the heavens departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And remember, we read that the tribes of the earth are going to mourn. Well, here it is. The kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman, they're mourning. Why are they mourning? For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? So when Jesus comes back, we can see there's some things that are going to take place. Our brothers and sisters, is not so friendly. But again, I just wanted to concentrate on the sun, how it became black, the moon became as blood. All of this is important when we look at this, because people are ignoring these things about the sun, the moon, and the stars. And they don't realize that when you look at the text and it tells you that that sixth seal has to be open before Jesus even comes. Because immediately after the tribulation, and we could also say immediately after the sixth seal is open, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the heaven rolls back as a scroll, and the earth is going to mourn because here comes Jesus. It's just that simple, brothers and sisters. All right? It's just that simple as how we can see all of that and this whole thing take place. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. We're going to go to the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, because remember I said here a little, there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. Shout out to Brother James Anderson. Did a very good job showing the God of the Old Testament, the Alpha and the Omega. But let's see what was written here about that second coming. Listen to this. About how the Lord is going to come back with a wrath, and the kings of the earth are going to be mourning when that sixth seal is open immediately after the tribulation, when the sun becomes black, the moon is blood, and the stars fall from heaven as a fig tree. The leaves fall from the fig tree when it is shaken by the wind, and the kings of the earth are going to mourn because of the wrath of the Lord. But let's go see how Isaiah writes it in the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter. Let's go look at this. Isaiah 34, we'll pick it up in verse number 1. Listen to this. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it, is trying to tell you something. Come, hear. Hear. How do we hear it? Hearing comes by faith. Faith by the word of God. So we're reading it now, brothers and sisters. Come near, ye nations, to hear and to hearken. Not just to hear, but also to hearken. Ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. Let's look at verse 2. Here's a warning. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations. This is prophecy. And we're going to let you know where it is and the timeline of it. Simply, as we just read, what's going to happen immediately after the tribulation about the sun, the moon, and the stars. Let's keep reading. And his fury upon all their armies. Now you know why Revelations, the 6th chapter, says the kings of the earth are going to mourn. Now you know why Jesus said in Matthew, the 24th chapter, how all the people, let's go back and look at that. We'll come back to this. Let's go back and look at what Jesus said that would happen. I'm going to go back over to Matthew 24, just for a second. See, and you all know how we do it at this Bible study. Sometimes we'll go back and forth for a minute, just so you could see how things are written. Matthew 24, and I believe we were at verse number 29. Listen to this. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, and we talked about, I want to get you what the earth and the people are going to do. All right. Verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Why are they doing that, brothers and sisters? Because we know that they know something big is going to happen. They know it. They know it's happening. And that's why they all are going to just sit there and say, oh my goodness, all the tribes of the earth are going to do what? Mourn. Let's go back to Isaiah 34. Listen to this. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. This is talking about the future. And we're going to show you how we know it's talking about the future. And the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all, listen to this, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved. And the heavens, listen to this, shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down. That's the sun, the moon, the stars. Listen to how Isaiah is giving this same thing out. Okay, the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth from the vine, as a falling fig from the fig tree. Brothers and sisters, look at this. Look at what's going to happen. Look at verse number 6. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. All right? Why? Because the Lord is coming back to do some damage. Look at verse number 8 so you can confirm it. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. All right? So when you look at how and why the kings of the earth are going to be mourning, and they're going to be telling the rocks and the mountains, fall on us, because the wrath of the Lord is come. So you can go back to Revelations and read this. Listen to this. For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Isaiah's talking about it. Jesus told us about it. Here we are in the book of Revelation, and the Bible is saying the same thing over and over and over, brothers and sisters. We ought to be able to see this. We ought to be able to see it because it's so clear what is happening and what the Lord is going to do. All right? So let's go look at another one. I want to go look at another one here because Isaiah talked about it. I want to go to, let's go to the book of Joel. The book of Joel. It's another prophet. Because, the Lord has given this thing to his prophets. And his prophets have given it to us. But, some people don't like reading Genesis through Malachi. They don't even want to teach from it. You're missing so much information that is critical for you to understand the timeline and what the Lord is going to be doing. Let's go to Joel, the 2nd chapter. Let's go over there and see what this will render to us. Listen to this. Joel's telling you the same thing because it's only one time this happens, brothers and sisters. Listen to this. Joel, the 2nd chapter. Look at verse 30. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Listen to what he said is going to happen. Look at the wonders. Look at verse 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood. Look at what's going to take place before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. And the terrible day of the Lord come. All of this is going to happen. Look at verse 31 again. The sun shall be turned into darkness, the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come. This is important because I'm going to go back into the prior scriptures and show it to you again, brothers and sisters. Here we go. Right here. When the sixth seal is open, and lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as the sackcloth of hair. The moon becomes as blood. The stars of heaven fell unto the earth. So you see what's happening here? Even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. Let me skip down. The kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the captains, the mighty men, every bondman, every free man, are hiding themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Why, brothers and sisters? For the great day of his wrath is come. Let's go back over here to the book of Joel. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Brothers and sisters, prophet after prophet is trying to tell us. But some people would tell you, well, we don't have to read the books in Genesis and Malachi. They render nothing. No, I wouldn't let anybody cause you to fall into that trap, brothers and sisters. Don't let anybody cause you to fall into that trap, because you can just see from the scriptures that we're reading that something big is going to happen. All right? Let's see. Let me give you another one. Because, when we read this, and again, the prophets are saying the same thing, we're going to go to see what the apostles said about this in Acts, the second chapter. Acts, the second chapter. We're going to look at it. Because, see, these apostles believed in the prophets. They believed in the prophets. They didn't have any problems dealing with these prophets. Acts, the second chapter. This is during the day of Pentecost, when they were all, as they did year after year, go to Jerusalem. But let's look at something. Let's look at something that the apostle said in verse number 14, when they thought that everybody was drunk. Let's go read something. Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as ye suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day. The third hour of the day is 9 o'clock in the morning. But listen to this. If they're not drunken, what is this? Listen to what the apostle Peter said. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. It shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And of my servants listen to this, and on my servants and on the handmaidens, I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. But let's hone in on verse number 19, because he's telling you what the prophet Joel brought out. And I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, vapor of smoke. So these signs in heaven above and the signs in the earth beneath, they're there to let you know something's big is getting ready to happen. Well, let's find out what happens. Well, here we go. The sun shall be turned into darkness, the moon into blood, before that great and notable day of the Lord to come. Brothers and sisters, it gets no plainer than what the Apostle Peter is sharing with you, what Joel wrote. Let's go back to Joel. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come. You see, when you're reading this and you see what the Lord is trying to do and what he's trying to tell you, brothers and sisters, it should be no kicking, there should be no fighting. This is going to take place immediately after the tribulation, when the sixth seal is opened. That's when these things are going to take place. But people are not paying attention to this, and they're not getting the full understanding of when all of this is going to take place. All right? So let's continue to look at some more verses here, talking about the same thing. You know what I want to do? I want to go over to the book of Luke. And I like the way it's written in the book of Luke, because he gave a variation of it as well. Let's go to Luke, the 21st chapter. Luke 21st chapter, and we're going to pick it up in verse 25. Luke 21. And verse 25. I think that's where I want to go at. Here we go. Same time, same period. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. All right? Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. Man, they see this thing coming. It's going to hit them when that sixth seal is open, which takes place immediately after the tribulation. Listen to this. And then, when all of these things take place, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming upon the earth, because they see it's coming. This is why the tribes of the earth are going to mourn. Listen to this. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. You see, brothers and sisters, the Bible is very clear as to what's going to take place. We got it in Joel. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before that great and terrible day of the Lord come. We have it there. We can even go back to Revelations. We're not going to go there yet. Let's go back over to, we had so many other scriptures. Joel, we had Isaiah 34. Let's go back over there one more time. Isaiah 34. Just so you can see that this thing is all over the place. Everybody knows about it. How did Isaiah put it? And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as a leaf falleth off from the vine, as a falling fig from the fig tree. Listen to this. And when all of those people are fearing and running and they're mourning, why? The sword of the Lord is going to be filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness. Because the Lord is going to be doing some stuff, brothers and sisters. He's not going, he's coming back with a vengeance. Listen to this. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, a year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. That's a whole different subject right there. But I just want you to see this stuff, brothers and sisters, so you can see what is going to be taking place when that sun becomes black, the moon becomes blood, and those fig trees fall from the sky like they're falling from a fig tree whose tree is shaking in the wind. You have to see what is taking place. All of this stuff is taking place. Listen to this. I want to go to, I know I read in the book of Joel, I believe I was in Joel, the 3rd chapter. But I want to go to another one. We read Joel 2 and 30, but I want to go to Joel 2 and 10. Just to show that he talked about it in the earlier verses, because I got it down. You could read it and see it, but how I could have read this first. Listen to this. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining, and the Lord shall utter his voice before his army. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Then we go down to these other, and he's telling you, listen to this, blow the trumpet. But this is what he's saying down here, brothers and sisters. Verse 30 and 31. Let's just pick it up in verse 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. This is over and over and over, all throughout the scriptures, brothers and sisters. All throughout the scriptures. In fact, there's so many other places we could show it to you. All throughout the scriptures. I want to go one more before we go back to the book of Revelation, I want to go over there to the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, because Matthew, Mark, and Luke wrote it. But let's go to the book of Mark. We read it in Luke. Let's go to the book of Mark, and we're going to pick it up in the 13th chapter. Mark, the 13th chapter. I think I want to go around verse 24, 25. Listen to this. It's Mark 24. Here we go. But in those days, listen to this. In those days, this is what Mark wrote as to what he heard when Jesus was speaking. In those days after the tribulation, after that tribulation, listen to this. The sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. So you see what's going to be taking place. So when we go back to the book of Revelation, and this is how we like to do it, brothers and sisters, kind of keep this thing consistent. Now we're going to go back to the book of Revelation, where we started this whole thing at. Listen to this, Revelations 6 and 12. And when he had opened the sixth seal, when is that? After the tribulation. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, the moon became as blood, the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Again, let's look at how Jesus wrote it in Matthew 24. Matthew 20, how Jesus described it. Matthew 24 and verse 19. Listen to this. We're just summing it up. Verse 29, I'm sorry. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. So when is that sixth seal going to be opened? Immediately after the tribulation. Why? Because the sun is going to be dark, the moon should not give her light. And let's pick it back up in Revelation, right here. The sun became black as sackcloth. When is that again? Immediately after the tribulation, when he had opened the sixth seal. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, the moon became as blood, the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, brothers and sisters. And we know why. And we know in his wrath, the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the chief captains, mighty men, everybody, they're going to be running and crying. Why are they crying? For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Brothers and sisters, shout out to Sister Sabrina Flowers. Haven't seen her in the chat room in quite a bit of time. I know sometimes she might be tuned in, but just not in the chat room. But shout out to her, and shout out to all of you brothers and sisters that have come in. Baruch, Sister Yvette. Let's go over there and see who else do we have over in our chat room. This is our lesson tonight. We're finished. We just wanted to give this to you, and we did. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Let's go over there and see. We got some music coming up. Sister Yvette, RN, Brother Mark P, Brother Santana, and Brother Mark P up in the New Jersey class, IOG. Those brothers are from New York, and they travel over to the IOG New Jersey class with my other brother and sister, Brother Canson and the Mean family. All right. Shout out to them as well. Liz, how you doing? Just Reese, Sister Linda Jones Vickers, and Brother Larry Wilson was the first one in the chat room. And brothers and sisters, remember to let the words of our mouth, the meditation of our hearts, let it be acceptable in His sight. The Lord be our strength and our Redeemer. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 9:30, we're going to the Atlantic Ocean, Hollandale Beach, Florida. We'll be baptizing 3 candidates. Brothers and sisters, we have been baptizing every month. Shout out to all of those that have been baptized. Shout out to the ones that's going to be baptized tomorrow. This is great. This is a great season. Many folk are coming. They're coming. Shout out to Sister Stephanie Thompson. Shout out to that sister. She has been tuning in. She came in week 1. Pastor Johnson, I want to get baptized. So we scheduled her initially. But then we also shout out to Brother and Sister Perry. When they heard us announce baptism last week for this week, they said, don't leave us out. So shout out to them. So we have 3 candidates that we know of, because people know we're ready. Shout out to Brother Harold, Brother Scully, my brothers who's going to help me tomorrow morning at 9:30. Those that are in the South Florida area, whether you're in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, if you want to come and be a part of this occasion, you're going to take 95 and you're going to get off at Hollandale Beach Boulevard, go east all the way. Don't make any turns. Once you get off of Hollandale Beach Boulevard on I-95, and you go east, like you're going toward the ocean, do not make any turns at all. Just stay straight. You'll see the big water tower right by the ocean, that red, yellow, and I think it's red, yellow, and green and blue. You'll see that big water tower and it's got the fire station below it. Just keep driving. Drive right up into that driveway, okay? Don't make any turns on any streets. Just stay on Hollandale, go up in there, go down inside the parking garage. You'll see it curve around to you, and you just walk right up to the beach, right? So this is going to be great tomorrow. We're looking forward to having that time. So if you're in West Palm Beach, Dade, Broward, if you're tuning in and you're coming from Tampa, St. Petersburg, or wherever and you want to just be a part, that's where we're going to be at 9:30. We will not meet at the class. We're going straight to the beach. From your house, go straight to the beach. At 9:30, we like to have folk in the water being baptized, all right? So that's going to be tomorrow. Then 11:30 will be Bible study immediately after baptism. Baptism won't last that long, but we give people a chance to change their clothes and what have you. And 11:30 Bible study, 12:30 the afternoon service will be starting. I will be your teacher tomorrow, and at 2:30 we want to be eating lunch. That's how we're going to do it, brothers and sisters. So come on and join us anywhere. Let's give you some music tonight, as we always do on a Friday night, especially the nights we're able to come on. We're going to be having Pass Me Over and My High Priest. Those are the 2 songs. You know what? I'm going to add a third one in there tonight. It's going to be Nothing Greater from the Israel of God Dallas class. All right, that's going to be after My High Priest. So y'all going to have some music tonight. Enjoy all 3 of these selections. And brothers and sisters, I want to say happy Sabbath to you and thank you for tuning in. It was great to have you here with us tonight. All right, here we go. Here we go. Check this out. This is just for you. Peace in Jesus' name.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Let the blood be a token of my faith. Of my faith.
never ever realized just how much you mean to me. Because I was once blind, but now I see that you paid it all when you hung upon a tree. You're my king, even my high priest. Lord, you're the only one who can intercede for me.